go.
Welcome to NHL Fans 365, a hockey podcast where we talk about many different topics from around the league. And here's your host, Boomstick.
Good evening, everybody. It's your host, Boomstick of NHL Fans 365, and this is podcast episode number 11, and I am here with our live broadcast for the Stanley Cup playoffs. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to get right down to it, but first I have to introduce our first two admins, and on my right on my screen, we have our Pittsburgh Penguins admin, aka TheMessenger. How are you doing tonight?
Do I have to talk about it?
We'll get to We will. And then we have, for the first time ever in his life, in a podcast ever, because he is an admin for a week?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so anyway, we have our Winnipeg Jets admin, hashtag EverydayImByfuglien.
Oh yeah.
Yep, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
That's good. Good. Alright, so, in the background, for anybody who's wondering what the fuck is playing, it's the Tampa Bay Lightning Red Wings game with 43.6 seconds left in the third period of Game 5, and Tampa Bay's winning 1-0.
There's about to be some celebration going on.
Yep.
They keep the lead.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oil and Applicator getting a little scrap.
Oh yeah.
Applicator broke his hand.
Yep, and it's just going to get really ugly down the road. So anyway, we're going to talk about the three potential problems that have happened in the past 3 days, starting off with the Philadelphia Flyers fan base. Then we're going to talk about Andrew Shaw, and then we're going to talk about the latest incident that happened at the Islander game with the Bears, and then we're going to talk about who could potentially be the next head coach of the Ottawa Senators. So let's get right down to it. So problem number one. As most of you know, we talked about this last week on our podcast, and it was saying in terms of reports that the late Ed Snyder, who was the owner of the Flyers from the beginning, since 66, 67, or whatever the year was, he's been there. He's been the heart of the Philadelphia Flyers for that long, and just kind of kept everything in pace, and then just recently died due to bladder cancer last week. So, may he rest in peace. I send my condolences to his family or whatever. But prior to the series, they were doing this special tags called EMS. I forget what the M stands for. I think I said it was Maurice or Michael or something like that. And Game 3, when the Capitals blew out the Flyers, I think we all saw that game. And things got very, very ugly in the game. So it was a bit of a backwash between the drunk Flyer fans and the real nostalgic ones. So I think in the end, it was wrong on Philly's side. So I'd like to hear your opinions about this, guys.
Bobby, I actually just looked it up. Actually, one thing though. Behind you, there's some celebration going on. Tampa won the series.
Oh, wow.
I mean, look at them. They're all hugging and kissing each other and shit.
Once the handshake starts, it's all over.
And then directly after, I got the Blues-Blackhawk game. I'm not worried about that anytime soon. I switched. Yeah, but anyway.
The second thing, though, I just looked it up. His middle name is Malcolm.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Michael or Maurice or something. But Malcolm, wow. I didn't even know that. Interesting. But anyway, so how do you guys feel about the late Ed Snyder, and how do you feel about the bracelet incident?
I kind of feel like Ed Snyder was an amazing owner. He really helped the Flyers become who they were, and I feel like the whole incident that happened with them and all the drunken fans, it's, I think in my opinion, it's pretty disrespectful to him and his family. Just I mean I guess it's kind of hard to be not upset and then have to deal with all the other things, right? But
I mean, there is a chance it's there, but these weren't just playoff 2016 bracelets, but it's memorial bracelets of Ed Snyder. And I think
honoring his life.
I mean, it was kind of like a symbolization, Everybody came in there to praise for Ed Snyder because of his passing, but after that, it was just wow, Philly just completely went out of control. I mean, they got their ass kicked by the Cavs. Because, let's be honest, the Cavs are going to win the series tomorrow, and we can just all move on from there. So,
I in my bracket, they're taking it in 5.
Yeah, I had Washington in 5, but originally I had Detroit in 4, but that obviously did not happen, so I automatically lost on that one. And yeah, I don't know, guys. I just feel Philly could be a better organization than that. They are much better than that, and I think showing that they're throwing memorialized bracelets onto the crowd, especially when they're getting their ass kicked in a playoff game against the best team in the league. Show some little dignity for your fucking franchise, okay? I don't care how drunk you are. I don't care how high you are. I don't care how many, how much weed you took. I don't care how many drugs you took. I don't care if you started a fight in a game. I don't care. It is disrespectful in regards, and you don't do it. Sorry, General. It's just inappropriate standards. And I know some people are going to be like, well, yeah, the Flyers were getting them blown out. I don't give a fuck if the Flyers are getting blown out. It's disrespectful. You don't ever do that to a professional sports team for a guy who just recently passed away. That's just a big slap in the face if I were Philadelphia.
Regardless, even if the score was like 2-1 or like a close game, they should, like, what they did was so wrong. And like, if I were a Flyers fan and did that, like, if I was like drunk or high, I mean, I'd be disappointed in myself because that's just not right.
I know. And if I was a Flyer fan, I would be embarrassed. I would probably never go to a Flyer game ever again. I mean, they're kind of showing the dignity and their true identity of what they really are. Because people always tell me that our Flyer fans or another team that don't mind the Flyers, they're like, oh, you know what? The Flyers are a very classy organization, blah, blah, blah. And I know Alex has a lot to say about this topic, so because he's a big Penguin fan, obviously. So we can kind of jump right into that. There's a lot that is controversial, but I mean, if you want to throw beer on the ice, fine, do whatever you want, but don't ever throw away a bracelet that could mean something to your franchise, because that could have been a memorable game under any circumstance. I mean, it's just a general rule. You don't throw shit like that away. That's just the bottom line. You know what I mean? Do you have any thoughts about this, Lex?
Oh man. I don't know if I should just fucking blow the fuck up about it or just kind of, just keep it calm, keep it cool. Don't be like a total dickbag about it.
Well, just say.
I mean, what happened in that game is fucking the complete opposite of classy. Classy organization, my ass. Fucking the fan base is awful. I mean, I know they love their Flyers, and I mean the fans. They're super crazy for the Flyers, and they're total fucking dickbags to everybody else. I mean, I know I could be a dickbag to the Flyers. I mean, but
God. But then, in this past week, didn't a Penguin fan or a Flyer fan, something like that, I forget what side it was, somebody sounding, something like, Flyers suck during the Ed Snyder Memorial moment of silence in Pittsburgh or some shit like that. Wasn't that something like that, or am I getting that twisted a little bit?
That did happen.
But what exactly happened? Because I kind of forgot.
It was just during the moment of silence, and from what I heard, a Pens fan did yell, "Flyers suck" during it, and supposedly a few other Pens fans egged him on to do it.
My God. Fucking Philly. It is. It truly is.
And I mean, I'm embarrassed by that.
I mean, I don't know anybody who would be feeling proud about that. That's just as worse as saying, go this team, go team that during the national anthem, whether it's Canada or the U.S.
Yeah.
It's disrespectful. I hate fucking fans who do that. It's so disrespectful. You go, give some dignity, show some light. I don't care if you're at a hockey game or a football game, and you're probably going to hear, oh yeah, every team does it. Doesn't matter. I mean, you're going to hear it in Buffalo. You're going to hear it at the Barclays Center. You're going to hear that at Consol Energy Center. You're going to hear that at FTS. You can hear it anywhere you want. I don't care. You're going to hear it regardless. But what the Flyer fans did was so out of control, so disrespectful. I mean, and everybody's talking about it like they're the only team that's ever done it. I mean, I think ESPN actually covered that a little while ago. And the PA announcer was like, okay, you guys done it. Congratulations, you just made us look like a bunch of fucking idiots. I mean, did you hear the audio for this?
Yes.
You did.
I didn't hear it.
You did not. Okay. I'm gonna get the audio for this real quick, and beforehand, I want you guys to tell me what you guys think of the whole situation, whether it's any professional sports team or just the Flyer fans in general about this whole bracelet thing. I mean, they've done worse in the past.
Yeah.
That's basically it. So let me see if I can get this.
I mean, I got into a bit of a rant about it in the group chat a couple days ago, saying, "Well, fucking Flyer fans, they're." I'm gonna get in so much fucking trouble for saying this, but a lot of Flyer fans are fucking delusional as shit. They act like, you know, they act like, all other fan bases are out to get them and that everybody hates them because, we're not them and, we have a bad rep and it's bullshit and but they fucking deserve it because of stupid shit like this.
Well, I mean, you're a Penguin fan, so obviously they probably feel a little different about you guys. I mean, Penguins Flyers is obviously a huge rivalry, but this is Caps Flyers. So if this was Caps Flyers, I'm sure. No, what am I saying? If this was
Flyers.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. If this was Penguins Flyers, I think the series would be a little bit way too far. I think, like what they did in 2009, things got pretty ugly in that series, and I think any rivalry game the Flyers are in, whether it's the Rangers, the Penguins, the Capitals, they're always going to do something stupid, and it's almost a guarantee that they're going to. And since Lex did hear the audio for excuse me, the PA announcer video, and I sent this in the group chat. Since you were away for a while, take a listen to this. This is during Game 3 when during the bracelets when they were thrown onto the ice. Listen.
Okay, those of you that have thrown, you've done it now. 2-minute bench spot for the Flyers for delay in the game. 14 minutes, 58 seconds. Way to go.
See how fucking crazy that is? And not only that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, I was just gonna say that was absolutely nuts. Would they get a delay game penalty for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, Wayne Simmons and Alex Ovechkin, they were like looking at the
Oh, yeah.
crowd guys,
Like,
what the hell are you doing? Like, stop it.
It reminded me a little bit of the Jays and Blue Jays and Texas Rangers game, and I think back in October, like Game 5 of the ALDS, when after the Rangers scored off of the Russell Martin throw off the Sensuchu bat, and then they got together with the coaches and they figured out that it was Texas's run, and then all of a sudden all the Jays fans lost their shit and just started throwing beer bottles and all this crap on the field. They spent 20 minutes having to clean it all up. It was awful. It was I was embarrassed to be I'm from Toronto, so I'm a big Blue Jays fan because I was the only team in Canada for baseball. But I was so humiliated and embarrassed because that's not what we are at all.
I agree with you. And you know what? While you're talking about throwing stuff on the ice, not only do Blue Jays fans do this and Flyer fans do this, you know who else does this? And this is from another sport, by the way.
Yes.
The Cleveland Browns and the Philadelphia Eagles. Those two franchises will throw anything onto the field. It is ridiculous. Eagles fans will give you everything they have, and they will piss you off. And
I hate the Eagles. They're my most hated team in the NFL.
I'm a Bills fan, but they're in my top 5.
I gotta interrupt you guys for a second just to give you an update. Penguins won the game. They shut out the Rangers 5-0.
Woo!
Wow.
They are leading the series 3-1, going back to Pittsburgh.
Wow. Oh my.
And I mean, good for the Penguins though, man. Good for them. They're beating a team that finally is getting at least some sort of recognition. All the players are like, Eric Stahl, he's finally coming.
Oh yeah, no.
No, Eric Stahl's not that great. He wasn't that good in the last couple years. When he was 21, 22, absolutely. But
he's putting up 100 points for Carolina. Now he's putting up maybe 40, 50 points a year like tops.
Fucking crazy, man. So
I
much.
don't like the Rangers. Like, I don't mind like their players, but I hate the way they constructed their team because all they do is basically trade for players and they trade away all their picks. So when all their guys retire and they're gone, they're gonna have no good picks because last year they traded for Keith Yandel and they gave up like a first, Duclair, and like a whole king's ransom for him, and they gave up like what was it 2 seconds and a prospect like Sarah or whatever his name is.
I think it was
a prospect for him or
I
something.
would think it was DeClaire and Summers and a first-round draft pick for him.
So like for Yandel, who they're probably not going to re-sign after this year, and then they have Eric Stahl, who they're going to I don't know. I actually have no clue where he's going, but
Yeah. What do you call it? And just to give you a brief update, guys, about the Ducks game, it's it's 3-1 Anaheim in the end of the second period. Just to give you a quick update. And I got the Blues game behind me, so if anything happens, I'll probably turn around like that.
oh,
But,
yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, right. And so anyway, what I was saying before about the Eagles and Browns is like anything they'll throw anything on the ice, whether it's a bad call, whether it's whatever. The same thing with the Flyers. I mean, they'll throw a beer at you. They'll start fights when they're drunk. It's ridiculous. I just don't think the Flyers are that respectful in terms of an organization-wise. I just don't view them like that ever.
I mean, I like that I agree with you completely, Bobby, but like I think with the like when they did the whole Ed Snyder thing, like I thought that was really good on behalf of the organization. Like I thought that was really good for them. But then after that, like after the ceremony and all that, it was just hell broke loose.
Oh yeah, and all on top of this, Ryan fucking White with his comments.
He's a prick.
Oh my fucking god! I thought he was a fucking moron. After
The
that.
biggest moron in the league.
Oh yeah, this shit is all right.
Oh yeah, we tolerate this. We encourage like so fucking stupid.
My God, fucking Ryan White, dude.
I don't like him. Guy shouldn't even be in the goddamn league.
Sean Avery doesn't even deserve the league, and he's not even playing.
Did you hear what he's doing? He's an actor now in the Boston. They're making like a movie on like the Boston bombings, and he's like playing the actor of like a police officer or something.
That's cool. Good for him.
Yeah, doing something with his life.
I did not hear this. But anyway, Flyer fans overall, they need to get their head out of their ass because they're going to lose their identity pretty quickly. I don't care if you're playing Washington. I don't care if you're playing the worst team in the playoffs. I don't
care if you're playing the Leafs.
I don't even care if they're playing the Leafs. If you lose to the Leafs or any organization, suck it up like a man and woman and just move on. I mean, I'm a Buffalo fan. I'm used to that. I'm used to it.
2 years of last place in a row, except this year, but still.
And all the years in the past, like 10, 11 years ago, of making the conference finals and losing those 2 years to Carolina and Ottawa. My fucking God.
I thought they were beating Ottawa for sure that year. They were so good.
I was so hoping for that, man. I would have cried my nuts off if they were
I think
actually.
they would have been Anaheim for sure if they had.
Yeah, and I have a little quick story real quick before we move on. When I was 14, I was a huge Buffalo fan. I've been a fan since I was 3, 96, 97. I'm 23 now, but around the time I started watching hockey, my dad was an Islander fan growing up, and he still is. But I didn't really know much what was going on to it, and he took me to a game. He's like, okay, cool. And I became a Sabres fan after that first game because they were playing Buffalo. And I didn't know who anybody was. I didn't know who Dominic Hasek was. I didn't know who Michael Pekka was. I didn't know who Miro Shatan was. I didn't know any of those guys, like Dixon Ward, Brett Warner, etc. I didn't know who any of these guys were. And I went in, and I was like, okay, I'll root for the dark team. And they lost 4-2 to the Islanders. Next day, I look up the roster, and from there, I became a fan. And then when I was like 14, like I said, my dad was going to get me tickets to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2007 when they were playing Ottawa in the Eastern Conference Finals if they won the series. And he promised me that the year prior when they were playing Carolina, because I remember going in, they were taking a 2-1 lead, and Jochen Hesch scoring on a wraparound or behind the net after the period. And directly after, Doug Wade just felt really shitty about Game 6 and then 3 goals, and then that was it. And I was legitimately in tears. in that series, and I was crying and crying because I was so upset. I really thought the Sabres were going to win the cup, but at the time I didn't know better. I didn't think there were that many injuries because Jamie Keefe had an infection to his leg. I didn't think Tim Connolly, I remember, got hurt. I mean, there was a lot of moments that I remember growing up, in terms of, disappointment. I felt like that, but that's the same thing with the Flyers. I mean, the Flyer fans with throwing the bracelets, I think in general is just awful. So that's that. Any last minute comment, guys, about that topic?
I was just gonna say something like, but you talked about the Eagles and the Browns. It's funny because they just made a trade for them acquiring number 2. I mean, for the Eagles, I don't get it because I don't think Wentz or Goff are franchise guys, but
Eagles are morons.
and they mortgaged their whole future to bank on one of them doing well.
You're right. Any last comments, guys?
Nope.
Good.
Nope. Okay, so we're done with that topic. Next topic. Andrew Shaw with his homophobic slurs to the comments by calling the referee a faggot because of this controversial call. So, does anybody have an opinion about this?
Yeah, I'll go. I didn't like what Shaw did. I find it like the Flyers. I find it really disrespectful on behalf of even on behalf of the organization. Like if you're a fan, you don't want to see like one of your and Shaw is probably like a fan favorite to a lot of Hawks fans for sure. Like I wouldn't want to see one of my favorite players like say that to a ref, like hear him say that because like that's just not right.
I mean, I agree with that. And you know what? I know a couple people who are, who are same-sex marriage. I know people who are transgender. I know people who are bi. I know people who are, have a different interest in certain sex. Like if a woman likes a woman, that's fine. I have no problem with that. It's called love. Love is love, and there's nothing to stand by it. And if you have a problem, get the fuck out of the area. Don't fucking bother. Don't even say anything. Just fucking go.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, I get why Andrew Shaw was so upset about it, but he has no fucking right to call out homophobic slurs. I'm sorry.
Nobody does.
No, and that's not appropriate in general. And, I wouldn't take up for it. I wouldn't put up with that shit. I mean, I know a couple people who are, like I said, I know people who are gay. I know people who are lesbians. But you know what? I don't interfere. I'll be like, oh, yeah, we're gay. We're husband and husband. I'm like, well, congratulations. I hope you have a good life ahead of you. There's a lot of good things going on for you. But for Andrew Shaw, for a guy who's become kind of a fan favorite, like you said, about Chicago, that's just a slap in the face. I mean, and I said this in the conversation earlier in the week. I mentioned about, we were having a bit of a war about this too, with everybody, with the admins. And I brought up a comment saying that Andrew Shaw should be a role model for the majority of these people, especially for the younger kids. I mean, kids who don't know about hockey and they want to learn from it, and they watch a guy like Andrew Shaw develop and become this grinder. There's a lot of people that look up to him, and I get that. But to call out somebody and calling them a faggot will just not do much for me.
No, and it doesn't do good for anybody.
No, it doesn't. It's not healthy. It's bad for your health. I am not on board out of it whatsoever. It's just really, really, really complexing. It's kind of absurd. It's disturbing. It's disgusting. But, like I said, I am not against it. I'm just, I'm not against gays or whatever, but I'm fine with it. I have no problem with it. But, like I said, it's just wrong. I mean, it's like if somebody came up to you and said the N-word.
Like, yeah, it's the same thing. Like, you just shouldn't say it. Like, you have no right or no business to say that. Like,
I mean, whether you live in the U.S. states or whether you live in the Canadian provinces, doesn't matter what the laws say. I get that they both require free country, but there's just certain things you just don't want to say, and you just don't want to go by it. I'm not saying that you have the right to speak. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that, there's just times where you just have to at least shut your mouth, because there just has to be one of those moments where you don't want to get killed or, beat up or whatever, because there are consequences from certain people. And we live in a society where everybody's offended by something. And, I'm not on board with it, with everybody's actions, because I do get angry at people who are offended by everything. But for people to come out on Andrew Shaw And the most common thing I hear is that people say that this is not the first time that's happened. And I agree with that. It may not be the first time. But because Andrew Shaw is such a big-name player in this league, and because he's playing on those defending champions, he's obviously going to get some kind of shit.
Yeah, versus if it was a guy like on a team that's like not. I mean, like realistically, it'd be bad publicity for any team, like any player of any team. And like, I just don't think. I thought the suspension was way too weak because whenever somebody like says like a racial slur, like a homophobic slur, like it's 1 game and $5,000 fine. But like, what's the point in like doing that? Like, obviously, like that's not going to do anything. It's just going to keep happening.
And it's unfortunately going to just grow from that.
Sadly, yeah. I know one of my buddies plays junior C level hockey in like the Ontario. I'm from Ontario, like in like all of like Ontario, like northwest southern Ontario. And if somebody says like a racial or homophobic slur to the ref, they're gone for like 10, 15 games of the season.
Good. That's what it should be.
That's what it should. Yeah, they gotta put harsh punishments down to ensure that doesn't happen. But it's useless just saying 1 game and a fine. They're like, okay, so I'll just do it again when I get pissed off.
Well, you also got to think, you know, the NHL, it's a marketing thing. It's a business. So obviously they're not going to go too crazy about it, the facial slur. Just to be like, okay, $5,000 fine, whatever. And he only got 1 game for suspension. 1. So I don't get why this was even supposed to be in the punishment. Just go on, pay your fucking fine, just play some goddamn hockey, and don't open your mouth again about it. End of the story. End of the story. Simple. Lex, we haven't heard from you in a while, man. What do you think?
This is a subject that I am really not the biggest fan of talking about because there are just so many different opinions. And, like, people can be really extreme about it, no matter what side that you're on.
I mean, we're not looking for any kind of politically correct war. This is a free range environment. You could speak whatever you need to say. So, if anything, I would just ask you.
I don't like what he said. So I mean, it obviously is, pretty fucked up. But it's just one of those things that, shit kind of happens. I mean, I kind of have a bad habit of saying retard, and like I know it's like I really shouldn't be saying it, but sometimes in the heat of the moment, it happens.
Yeah, it happens to all of us.
I mean, I have never in my life have ever said the R word. I don't like saying it in general because, that's just, I got into a debate about this a couple nights ago, and I'm just going to give you a really brief background. I don't know if you two know this, but I get offended a little bit easily because, I mean, I don't care if other people use whatever towards me because I can care less. But if there's one thing that really pisses me off when it comes to when it comes to offending me, it's the word retard. I'm just saying it for this one time. And because I was born with autism, and that kind of offends me. So, I am just not the biggest fan of it, because I said this in the conversation as well. I said, for anybody that says it, kind of shows that, I'm not saying everybody, but for people who say the R word, and they just go all ballistic about it. They could have used other options like dumb, silly, stupid, whatever. I don't care. But out of all those, they pick that. And it just shows that it could be some sort of like uneducated system. Like it shows that you're uneducated and, you can just go on a rant about it and then get into a huge fight with me about it. Because it's just, I'm not against, you have every right to speak thing. Everybody can say whatever they want. But that's just my opinion. But for Andrew Shaw's perspective, it's just rude. But you know what? To be fair, he did come up and he did say, I apologize. I didn't really need to do it. I was having a bad day. I don't know if it's true or not. He was saying something about like having a bad day, getting a bad haircut and then the barber screwing him up or something like that. Something crazy. Like, I don't know if that's true or not. Does anybody have any idea about that?
Like, yeah, I know a lot of people that I know a few of my friends have been born with not like autism, but like other things. So it's like when somebody gets called that, it's just Like you could use so many other different words, but like I guess in the heat of the like Lex said, in the heat of the moment, right?
Yeah.
Out of your mouth that you
I'm
probably
not
wouldn't.
like I'm not saying that I totally agree with him saying it. I don't. I don't like what he said, but it's just I don't know. In my opinion, it's just one of those things that it just happens. I mean, he clearly wasn't thinking, and it just happened.
I mean, you see something like this, obviously, in like the NFL, the NBA. They go nuts about that kind of stuff, and they all get in trouble because those two leagues combined. I am a football fan. I don't like basketball, but to be fair, I'm just gonna put my bias about both those leagues, and I'm just gonna say they both commonly share the fact that they're both pussified with, going all ape shit, going nuts about their, their words, their language. But for a hockey player, that's kind of rare. I mean, I know Andrew Shaw wasn't thinking, but in the end of the day, um, it was just not right on his part. It really wasn't. But like I said, to be fair, he did came up and said, "I'm sorry, I was having this." He was fair about it. He was firm, and he was like, "You know what? Let's just move on."
I mean, that's
Oh yeah.
part of the reason why I'm not like ripping him a new one about it because he realized what he did was wrong immediately. It didn't seem like like he was forced to say hey, I fucked up. It just seemed pretty. I can't really think of the word uh, genuine or whatever. Like it seems like he really meant it.
So you're basically saying that he didn't mean to, but he kind of did.
Yes.
Hmm.
I agree with him.
I mean, like I said, it's a very hard topic on certain people. I mean, I don't care what other people think. If they're gonna be pussifications about it, if they're gonna be pussified by it, or if they're just gonna be like whatever about it, then I wouldn't even be on Facebook and just comment about it. Because like I said earlier, we live in a society where everybody's at least offended by something. I'm not offended by anything really, except for like I said, the R word. That's the only thing I'm really offended by. I don't really care about people say, "Oh, you're a faggot, you're gay, you're this, you're that." You're a racist. I am no racist. I would never be a racist because I respect all cultures. I mean, that's just what I am. I was just raised like that. But, you know, I just think it's kind of arrogant in a way. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. So, any last comments, guys, before we move on to the next topic?
I think we covered everything.
Lex?
Yeah, I'm ready to move on.
Alrighty. And the next one, and as an Islander fan, I know I'm a Sabres admin, and I know I'm the owner of this page, but my second team is the New York Islanders. And I was so fucking pissed about this topic. Have any of you heard about the story with Steve Goldstein and Dennis Potvin being, poured on with beer and
Yeah, I heard
Yes.
about that today. That was horrible.
I'm fucking pissed off, dude. I'm so I am embarrassed as an Islander fan. It is disgusting. I don't care if you lose a close 2-1 game to Florida. It's the series. It's fine. It's 2-2. Why are you bitching? It's like, come on. You know better than that.
You're 2 games away from winning regardless. It's tied. There's no reason for it.
Absolutely. And I think and on top of that, they not only do these fans, and the reason I did that was because the majority of these fans are bandwagoners. They don't even know who Dennis Potvin is. So they just thought, okay, there's this asshole who's rooting for the Panthers. Let's just pour beer and soda on this guy. Fucking asshole. Like,
Yeah, that was my thing though. It was like, yeah, it's one thing to be, doing that shit to begin with, but it's fucking, Potvin and Islander fans, doing that shit, and it's like, what the fuck?
I mean, but here's the thing. Not all Islander fans, and I said this to you before the show. I said to you, not all Islander fans are bad. I mean, there are douchebag Islander fans, and I've met plenty of douchebag Islander fans. I mean,
Right.
it's all NHL fan bases. Even Buffalo. There's even douchebag Sabres fans.
I was gonna say that is every team. I mean if you want after the show I could fucking point out some douchebag Pens fans.
I mean, you don't have to go by name, but I mean, the really stupid jackass moron bandwagon jumpers are the ones that are gonna act really dumb and act really drunk during the games. That's
And they just give off a bad impression of the organization.
You're right. I fucking hate bandwagon fans.
They have the loudest voice, and that's where a lot of other fan bases they will judge your team on are these fucking idiots.
Who? Bandwagon fans or Islander fans?
I'm talking about fans in general. Like the idiot fans, they are the loudest voice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. What do you call it? So, in general, most bandwagoners just fucking leave. I fucking hate it, especially in hockey. I'm gonna give you a really quick rundown of some of these teams. Chicago Blackhawks,
Huge.
LA Kings, the New York Rangers. I don't know if this counts. The Leafs, they count, I'm sure. The Red Wings, they count. The Bruins count. The Penguins count.
I'm not denying it.
I think the Pens are one of the biggest.
Oh.
I think just because probably when Sid came into the NHL, it's well, I'm gonna be a Pens fan.
Yeah, right.
'Cause I know they're gonna be this good because then they had Malkin and Fleury, and then they drafted Stahl the next year.
Yeah, remember the Canucks fans 5 years ago?
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention that too about the riot. Oh yeah, that still left a shitty impression on the city and the fucking fans.
You have to be a real sore loser to do some stupid shit like that. And you know what? I've seen stupid shit. And I'm not saying Buffalo's perfect. I've seen stupid Bills fans. I've seen stupid Sabres fans. There are stupid fans in the league. And you know what? According to most sports tolls, a lot of them have said that Buffalo is the #1 city in all the sports that has the most drunk fans, especially at Bills games. They are the drunkest. They light themselves on fire. They have sex in the parking lot. They destroy tables. They fucking do ketchup and mustard on themselves. What the fuck? I mean, Islander fans too. Islander fans have been stupid before. They've bashed up cars. They've gotten into fights with Ranger fans. Obviously they threw beer at Dennis Potvin, a guy that helped them win those 4 Stanley Cups in the 80s. I mean, I'm embarrassed as a fan. Absolutely, I'm embarrassed. And you know what? I just really got hope that these fans never go to a game at the Barclays Center ever again, ever. Get it like a security camera or something like that. If there is, I don't know. And kind of show the evidence of who these people are and where they're going to be going. Because the Barclays Center obviously has big access to those games. So they're going to obviously keep an eye out for those people. It happens in the NFL all the time. If you get drunk and you start a fight, you're never going back. You're going to have to spend at least a day or a couple of days or weeks in court, and you have to write a letter to the NFL saying, I'm sorry I got drunk. I know they do it at MetLife Stadium because they have a court, an underground court downstairs at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. And you have to write them a letter saying, I'm sorry, I'll never get drunk again. And you have to serve maybe a month or two in the county jail or whatever. But in regards, it's stupid that these fans did it. But I'm also kind of, like I said, I'm kind of irritated that they went out of their way to actually have the nerve to dump beer on one of the greatest players of all time, in Dennis Potvin.
Oh yeah, again, so disrespectful. Like we were saying before, when you were mentioning about being embarrassed, if you were a Flyers fan about someone throwing the bracelet on the ice, and you feel embarrassed too about the thing about Dennis Potvin. I couldn't agree with you more on that. I just think.
I mean, would you let me ask you this. Let me ask you two this question. If you are a Penguins fan or quote-unquote bandwagon fan, and you just lost an important playoff game or lost in a championship game, would you go around destroying your city or dumping beer at one of the greatest players of all time, say, for example, Ron Francis or Teemu Selanne or somebody like that? Would you guys feel embarrassed?
If I did it, or if or other people I knew did it. Or both?
I'm gonna say both.
Yeah, I'd feel embarrassed. Like,
You,
I'd probably have to be like stupid piss drunk to have to do that. But I doubt I would never do that at a hockey game. But
I mean, this is why I'm not crazy about beer, because if I drink too much, which I've never been drunk at 23, I'm eligible to drink, but I've never been drunk in my life, and I don't plan to. Maybe like 1 or 2 beers, and that's it. But you know what? I would never get drunk at a game, and I never plan to. And I always say to myself, I don't feel like paying for a cab, a taxi or cab, whatever. I don't feel like it. So I'm just gonna not drink, maybe 1 or 2 beers, that's it, and then drive my car and go. I mean, I'm not saying drink and drive, but I'm saying, just be smart about it. That's all you gotta do. Just be freaking smart about it. It's so
kill you, especially if you're eating food too. Like, it's not gonna do anything.
exactly. But Lex, do you think like if somebody were to dump beer on like Yarmir Yager or Ron Francis, would you feel upset if the bandwagoners just did for some reason?
I would be fucking pissed.
Well,
I would lose my goddamn mind.
I am right now. I'm pissed off. Somebody dumped, or a bunch of idiots dumped beer on fucking Denny Podfed. What the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you?
First of all, you did a fucking stupid thing, and then fucking doing that to somebody like Yager or Francis, then you're really fucking stupid.
Some of these fans don't even deserve to be at the games. I'm sorry. There's probably going to be like, now I'm thinking about it. Now I'm afraid. I'm afraid now Dennis Podman will never ever step a foot at the Barclays Center ever again. I don't think. But he might not have a choice because he works for the Florida Panthers as a broadcaster with Steve Wool's team. He might not have a choice. And because I'm just going to give you a brief view of the Barclays Center. There's really no safe side to the Barclays Center. Whether if you're upstairs in the booth, whether if you're downstairs, whatever. It's a piece of shit, the stadium, and there are a shit ton of drunk fans everywhere. I despise it.
I'm going to be a fucking asshole right now. I would never, ever want to set foot in that fucking piece of shit. You know what? The whole fucking, this basketball first bullshit really fucking pisses me off.
I agree with you.
And then, like, the
Brooklyn,
fucking Islanders are like this fucking sideshow attraction bullshit. Fucking, you had to have those fucking ugly fucking black, alternate jerseys just to appeal to the fucking Brooklyn Nets. Oh man, I should stop talking right now.
I mean, I would love to hear your opinion, man. I don't like the black jerseys. I don't like the Barclays Center. I don't like the CEO, Brett Yormark. I don't like anything about it. I hate the drunk bandwagon fans. I hate everything about it. The only thing that's positive about going there is the Islanders. And in my time, in my area in Nassau County, we don't get to see that anymore. We have to spend $20 for a ticket to a train just to go there and back. And then go from there. You have to jump from Long Island Railroad from a specific town. And I live in Merrick, like I said in the previous podcast. You have to jump from Merrick to the Long Island Railroad, go from Merrick, 20-minute drive from the train to Jamaica, hop on another train that takes you directly to Barclays, and then get up from there, and that's it. And everything in that area is Brooklyn Nets basketball material. And directly next door of the Barclays Center, yes, they sell Islanders material, but most of it is Brooklyn Nets, because obviously the Brooklyn Nets are like, big over there. And next to the Barclays Center is not only do they have motels to that, they're having a brand new Jordan store right next to it. I think that just came out 2 days ago. I don't know. I don't really. Yeah, it just came out a couple of days ago. And then there's a giant billboard, and I saw this when I went to see them play Buffalo, maybe around the last week or so. And it had a big sign, had like Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, Kobe, Kevin Durant, all those guys. And everybody in the area is either wearing a Brooklyn Nets jersey or a New York Knicks jersey. Nobody gives a shit about the Brooklyn idea with the Islanders. The Islanders don't belong in Brooklyn. And that's just the bottom line. And you know what? I really hope within a couple years they bring them back. I really hope so. But it's not going to happen until maybe 2021 or 22.
And adding a Jordan store to like the area there is gonna probably decrease like sales on other like Islanders memorabilia because like who the hell is gonna want to buy that? And you can buy Jordan shoes, like the ones that Kobe wore. You know what I mean? Like so basketball oriented there, and like the quality of the ice is like crap too.
Yeah, it's not
Like
the
it's
best.
not even.
Fucking believable, man.
It's stupid.
Fucking believable. Like, I hate the New York Islanders, and I feel bad for them. That's fucking nuts. Like, and I'm sick and goddamn tired of this anti-hockey attitude of a lot of these fucking cities.
Me too. I mean, and one thing I hate about that is not only could the majority of these anti-hockey cities come in, but what I hate more about it is if an area like Brooklyn, I don't mind Brooklyn if it's a nice little area, but the problem I have with it is it's totally anti-hockey, and a lot of the people that go to the games there's like very small amount of people that go to the games that are from Brooklyn that have like a house from there, and the majority of them come in from the Long Island area to go from LI to Brooklyn. You know, myself, for example. And it's not fun. I have to deal with the idiots on the train every time I go. It's not fun at all. And I might have to go Sunday to the game against the Florida Panthers for Game 6. I might go. But I have, again, if I do, I have to deal with the idiots. Just how the way it is. And one other thing I hate is a lot of these called people that live in the area always have to come up with a way of saying how much basketball is so much better than hockey. And they say hockey sucks. I'm like, well, have you ever watched a game in your life? He's like, nah, man, I don't feel like it.
The Brooklyn Nets haven't even been like a good team for like I remember like being from Toronto like a few years ago they played the Raptors and like they won that and like they were good like 3 years ago but now like they lost all their players and like they're not even a good team like they're literally like a bottom 5 team bottom 3 team so like why would you go see them versus a hockey team and the Islanders who's gonna be making the playoffs for the next few years because they finally built their team well enough to be able to do so.
Yeah, I mean,
From what I heard, a couple of the sections fucking suck, and you can't even see like part of the ice. And then the fucking, I don't even know who this fucking dude is, but I think he's in charge of the Barclays Center or something.
Brett
He has the
Yormark.
fucking nerve to be like, oh well, you have trouble, seeing the ice and shit. Well, you can, watch the game on your phone there while you're there. Oh yeah, and then the fucking game is blacked out. Okay, that's fan fucking tastic. So, you gotta be a fucking asshole about shit, and then fucking. Oh man, I'm telling you, the fucking Barclays Center shit, it really fucking pisses me off because, the Islanders are gonna be treated like fucking shit.
I know, and you know what? As an Islander fan, I'm really upset about the move. Charles Wong's in fault. Nassau County's in fault. You know, people didn't want to pay taxes because they didn't want the Coliseum to be renovated when it already is now. It's being renovated. It'll be up by next spring. But it's just really upsetting. And as a fan, I do not like the idea about going to Brooklyn. I don't care for it. You know, it really makes me upset. That's like if, let's say, for example, the Penguins had to move outside of Pittsburgh, and they had to be like on the very, very, very edge of an uncharted area where there's no, signs of life in hockey there. Like, how would you feel if you had to go from Pittsburgh to another part of the area where it's not even related or don't even care about the sport, which I'm sure the majority of the city does? You have to go from one end and then you just have to go back the other. Like, do you feel like that would be a betrayal to you? Like, do you feel upset if you do go from one side of the city of Pittsburgh or the whole state of Pennsylvania to another?
Yeah, I would just be super pissed off. Like, why am I going to be having to travel more to an area and an environment that, like, isn't even, like, hockey oriented at all? Like, it just doesn't make sense. I have to travel farther and, like, new stadium, not to mention, like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I don't know why, you know what I mean?
Well, because the Coliseum was under lease for 3 years, and they had 3 years to come up with a plan. And during 2011, I think, the year before the lease signing, they had this vote by Nassau County, and it was a vote for the Lighthouse Project. And the Lighthouse Project was they were going to keep the Coliseum, they were going to, fix it up, tweak it up a bit, And they were going to put 2 baseball fields, a little concert here, take parts of Nassau County from there, kind of like change everything around, make it a nice little monstrous area for most people, make it like a village. Like, think of the new Edmonton Oilers Stadium or the new Detroit Red Wings Stadium, like stuff like that. Vision that, but bigger. That's what the New York Islanders were planning to do at the time. And because Charles Wong is a piece of shit owner who I fucking despise because the guy can't buy players for shit and he doesn't help anything to provide the Islanders, and he bought a book when he first bought them, and he bought a book called Hockey for Dummies. He knew nothing about the sport. He had to read through it, bought the Islanders, and he had to, of course, bought idiots like, I don't know, Mike Milbury, drafted Luongo and Chara, trade those guys away, and then make the Islanders look like shit for the next, 10 years, and then they went from there, and now all of a sudden you have a team that could potentially be a very, very good team going into the playoffs. So now, with them in Brooklyn, it doesn't make a difference. It's just, oh my God, it pisses me off as a fan. I mean, look, I'll show you something. I actually got this at the last game. Game 6, I believe. Here we go.
Oh,
Round
wow.
1. 2015 playoffs. Let's make history one more time. This was before they left to go to Barclay. And when they lost that series to Washington, I was so devastated. I wanted them to go to the Eastern Conference Finals at least to, see a little bit more playoff hockey, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So now we're stuck in that shithole for the next 25 years. And then I have to deal with idiots that dump beer on fucking Dennis Potvin.
It's just stupid. Like, I was like, if I was an Islanders fan, another thing that reminded me like a trade was when they traded for Vanek.
I'm a Sabres fan, so that made me very happy. But from my Islanders side, it's like Jekyll and Hyde to me with that trade. The Sabres side of me, that was fucking awesome. But
Bittersweet.
and on my Islanders side, I was like, why did you trade Bolson? Freaking jackass. But, I mean, the trade, I'm always asked about that. Is like, what did you think of the trade? What did you think of the trade? I'm like, well, I have 2 different opinions because I'm a Sabres fan and an Islander fan. So, that's just me, though. But in general, I am just not very happy about the Barclays Center. It's just really aggravating. I don't give a shit about the ownership. I don't care about Brett Yormark. I don't care about the bandwagon fans. I don't care about any of that. I came there to watch the Islanders, and I care about the Islanders. That's the only thing I care about at this point. And
It's getting taken away because it's all Brooklyn Nets basketball dominated, which is definitely not what it should be.
It's such a shit bomb, really. It really has to. If you ever come down to Long Island, because I know you live in Winnipeg, or Toronto. Okay. So if you ever come down to Long Island, or if you ever go to Brooklyn, I dare you. I fucking dare you.
I'll go.
I
went
fucking
to New York. I went to Manhattan when I was 13, I believe. So I was like 5 years ago. 6 years ago.
Yeah, okay. Come back here. Go to the Barclays Center. It's the biggest piece of shit you will find. You can't even see half of the games. Like, if you're sitting in, like, section 230, they cut off half of the ice. And it's kind of like this. Like, okay. Shit. Okay, this is a regular phone case, but think of this is the ice, okay?
Right.
Let's say this is 220, 230, and 240 down here. This is what you're seeing. Watch. Like that. You can only see half of the ice. It is so bad.
That's horrible. Why would I pay? I don't know how much ticket prices are there, but
Like $70 to $100.
okay.
But you could watch the game on your phone.
Yeah.
Exactly. And have it blocked out in your region, even though you're at the fucking game. You couldn't be much closer to it than you are.
And then on top of that, you have idiots all over the place doing stupid shit, throwing beer at Dennis Potvin. Nice, great fucking fan base you have there. God damn it. Fucking Christ. Oh my God, I could go on and on about this forever, but let's get down to the next topic. So, any last comment, guys, before we move on?
I'm good.
You good?
Fuck Barclays Center. What a piece of shit.
Thank you. I agree with you. We can all agree that Barclays Center is a piece of shit. I fucking hate it. Fuck the Brooklyn Nets. Fuck basketball. Fuck the Barclays Center. Fuck Brexit.
You like this video? There was a video of when the Raptors played Brooklyn in Game 1 in Toronto. The Raptors GM made a whole thing there's this whole square in Toronto, right by the ACC. It's called Jurassic Park, and the GM Masai Ujiri was like, "I got 2 words for you," and then he says, "Fuck Brooklyn." and everyone went nuts. It was hilarious. He got fined like $25,000, but it was hilarious. Like, you should search it up. Like, I literally pissed my pants laughing.
I don't blame that guy for saying fuck Brooklyn, because Brooklyn's not a hockey environment. I mean, that's just in general. I mean, I love the Islanders, but fuck Barclays, dude. I'd rather be having, be going back to the Coliseum, which is 5 minutes from my house. God. All right. Next topic. Recently, there have been some pretty interesting rumors about the Ottawa Senators coaching search. And, of course, the whole drama with the Ottawa Senators. Last Sunday, they brought in Pierre Dorman or something like that, or Dorban. He's the new general manager. And he said, I'm going to find a coach that has experience and whatever. And the next day, Monday morning, he fires Dave Cameron. And Dave Cameron went on this huge tirade saying, I wish I knew earlier that I was going to get fired, blah, blah, blah. And so the coaching search changes. It starts to begin. And 3 names have popped up, and I wanted to talk about this. The 3 names that were mentioned was Guy Boucher, Mike Yeo, and, of course, Mark Crawford. And recently reports have said that Mark Crawford wants to leave Europe.
Yeah, he wants to go to the NHL.
And he wants to be an NHL coach again. But the question is, can the Ottawa Senators bring him on board?
I honestly don't have no clue if they would. It depends. Honestly, depends if they'd want him. If they think he could be cause like to me, like he'd probably be the guy that could potentially like bring like maybe like the most potential to almost to like like I don't know how to explain it, but
I mean I like Mark Crawford as a coach, but I just don't think he would be a very good fit for Ottawa. But I know he has said in maybe a week ago that he has interest in the job for the Ottawa Senators. He wants the Senators head coaching job.
I think he'd fit with an NHL team. I just don't know, like based on like how like that certain team plays, but I just don't know which one. But I'm sure there's teams where he would definitely fit. I don't see Ottawa being the perfect fit for him though.
I don't think so either. What about you, Lex?
I really got nothing.
You got nothing?
I got nothing. Which sucks, but I got nothing.
What about Mike Yeo? Like, what do you guys think of that?
I'm not a big fan of his. I don't like his style. To be honest, like when he had to yell, I mean, yeah, like when he yelled at his players in the wild saying, "You're fucking useless, you bunch of tools, like snap out of it." Like, I don't know, I just didn't like that as a way to like yeah, I might have woken up his players a bit, but I just don't like the way that he's like gone about things. Like he was like he's a coach of like a decent team, but if he was like a coach of a team like Ottawa, I just don't think it would end well. Like he'd get fired within 2 years probably.
I could see that. I mean, I don't think Mike Yeo is the best option for the Ottawa Senators, but I think in the end, he has experience, taking them to the playoffs. He's taken some decent moments, but the thing about Mike Yeo is, he has a huge ego, and I don't think a lot of these guys want him there because of how he treated the Minnesota Wild. Not many of the players, wanted him there. They were just kind of like losing, their patience with him. He was just being a very immature brat in Minnesota, and he was just like, you know what, fuck it, I hate you all. And I just don't think. And on top of that, I believe either this was before or after he got fired, was Thomas Vanek was scratched for 3 games. Or was that before or after he got fired?
I think it was after. I'm not sure though.
I think it was after. But I just think Mike Yeo is not the best option, and he obviously changes the lines a little bit. I mean, he changes them like every 10 minutes. He'll put like maybe Pominville, Vanek, and Coyville on one line, and then the second line within 10 minutes he'll put like Pominville, Parise, and whoever else is there, Zucker, Coyle, someone like that. I just don't think Mike Yeo is the best option for the Ottawa Senators. And then, of course, you have Scar from himself, Guy Boucher, a.k.a. Scar from The Lion King. What do you guys think?
Do you want to jump in, Lex?
I really have nothing.
I have like I don't know like I don't have much either other than the fact that like maybe like he'd be the best option of the 3, Crawford or Mike Eo or whatever, however you pronounce his name. But I don't know. I honestly have no clue. If I had to bet on like whoever be their coach, I wouldn't be confident in my answer because I have no clue who they'd hire. I think it depends on like what ownership thinks and like maybe if like how the interview process goes.
Usually Melnick's a piece of shit owner, and I'm not even a Senators fan. I hate the Ottawa Senators. They're a piece of shit franchise. But what's even worse about them in general is the owner. Eugene Melnick's like, nobody's safe. You know, we're going to make everything better in the offseason. You're all going to lose your jobs. We're going to make a big rebuild, blah, blah, blah. So basically, Eugene Melnick is pretty much starting the fire for his team. He's the owner. He should be praising them. You should be like, you know, we're going to see changes coming. And instead, he acts like a fucking child and saying, you know, everyone's going to get traded, blah, blah, blah. And one name that was constantly brought up was Erik Karlsson. And I meant to ask you, if Erik Karlsson scenarially gets traded, do you guys see him going anywhere either in the West or in the East? And if anything, where does he go?
I know one team if there's one team in the league that's looking for a top defenseman, it's Edmonton. But
Edmonton could.
Yeah, like that to me they could be an option. Vancouver potentially. It's also a matter of what like the return, like the package that they could all be like I don't even know. Like the package for Carlson would probably spend 20 minutes trying to evaluate like how much they could get. Like how many first and like top prospects. You pretty much have to sell your whole farm and all your draft picks for the next few years.
I mean, and whatever the Sens get for him, if they decide to trade him, is, you know, there has to be a lot in return for these guys. And I just think, you know, in the end, if the Senators do decide to trade Erik Karlsson, it has to be for the right price. And a lot of these guys, like, let's say for scenario, in my opinion, if Erik Karlsson does get traded, he's going to go to a team like the St. Louis Blues for Kevin Shattenkirk, maybe a first-round draft pick, maybe two, and a top prospect. Maybe two prospects, Shattenkirk, and maybe 2 picks.
I was thinking about what Adam was saying about, you know, trading him to the Oilers. Like, would they even want, like, an offensive defenseman? I mean, you know, defense has been a huge issue for them.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's unique what Edmonton is able to do. I find it funny that Edmonton, out of all the picks they could have had for the last 5-6 years, 4 of them were forwards. And the ones they've declared to be safe is McDavid and Draisaitl. So Hall can be traded, Nugent Hopkins can be traded.
Everly,
Yakupov, Everly, all those guys that they worked up for, they worked hard to get, all of a sudden now they're going to be traded for a defenseman, potentially. Because they need it. I mean, Nurse is pretty good. Sekero's not that great. And as a Buffalo Sabres fan, he's mediocre. He was okay in Buffalo, but...
Okay. I like my 3 favorite teams are Winnipeg, LA, and Toronto. When we got traded to LA, I was not happy because I knew he wouldn't be able to do much like to advance the Kings. Like he's not like there's forwards and there's like rentals that can have a huge impact on like your playoff run. He's not like that type of guy. Like Vermette for Chicago last year was huge. Like guys like that, like Gabbert 2 years before, like those guys like help. Those were like main pieces in like helping those teams win cups. Like Sekero's not a guy like that at all, in my opinion.
I think so, but let's say scenario Crawford comes in as Ottawa's head coach, which I think could happen depending on the interviews, how it goes. Believe me, if anything is like that, I could compare this situation with Ottawa to what Buffalo did last year with Toronto, getting Mike Babcock. But I'm not saying Crawford is going to pull off Mike Babcock, but there's only real one team that could take him, and that's Ottawa. But let's say they decide to trade Erik Karlsson to Edmonton. I would probably say maybe give up maybe Taylor Hall, maybe at least Taylor Hall, maybe another prospect, and maybe a top draft pick, maybe the top 3 pick that they have to throw out.
I was thinking that depends on if they like. I doubt if Edmonton gets first, which I would be fucking pissed off. Not just because I also like the Leafs and the Jets, because I know they're like right in there too. But I would just be pissed off as a fan of the NHL. Like, well, there's no point in giving them another top pick. They got McDavid. They shouldn't. They have no reason deserving another one, considering they finished 29th.
They don't need it. The Edmonton drafts forwards, and that's why the Oilers suck so bad, because they rely too much on the forwards than they more rely on their team. I mean, Talbot's okay. I mean, he was great on the Rangers because they surround him with a great defense. But when you
Right.
put him on a team like Edmonton, he was just into shit. I mean, Connor McDavid, I don't think he's going to last in Edmonton forever. You know, I know he said in the past that he would stay there for life, but I don't think he's going to stay. I mean, it's more about what the management wants. I think the Oilers are going into a deeper hole than they think. I mean, Todd McLellan's a pretty good coach, but he's not carrying the Edmonton Oilers. I'm sorry. He's not carrying them all the way. I don't care if they have Connor McDavid. I don't care if they have Leon Draisaitl. They are not going anywhere. That's just
There's no
real.
point. There's no point in having all those forwards and not having any defense that wouldn't be able to break the puck out of the zone, out of the neutral zone, and give them the puck. They would be useless otherwise.
But if you put guys like Erik Karlsson there,
Exactly. That's a guy that can make a huge.
it would be a huge impact. I mean, he could teach Shakira to be a better defenseman. He could teach Darnell Nurse to be a better defenseman. I mean, I can't name every single player on defense that Edmonton has, but I know they got Shakira. I know they got Nurse. I know they got what's his face?
Davidson.
What is it?
Davidson.
Davidson. I'm not. See, that's the thing. I don't really know who half these players are. Yeah, I mean, they're either players from development or they're from the Oklahoma City Barons. I don't know. I don't watch the Edmonton Oilers, so I mean, I know they're trying hard to be. I know the NHL wants them to be like the Pittsburgh Penguins of the West. I know that, or the Chicago Blackhawks. I know they're trying hard to make that happen, but it's not happening. It's not working because Edmonton doesn't know how to develop players.
Exactly. And like that teams like Chicago and Pittsburgh, they almost like built from the back end. Like Crawford might not be like recognized or labeled as like a great goalie, but he's a solid goalie in the league. Having a guy like Crawford and then Keith and Seabrook on the back end, like, and then Pittsburgh, yeah, they have Letang and Mata. Like those guys are like unreal too, along with Fleury.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm just very interested what the Ottawa Senators are going to bring to the table. I mean, I heard not only are they trading Erik Karlsson, I've also heard they're trying to trade Mike Hoffman for a while. I know they've been trying hard to trade him, but they couldn't find the right price for him.
I like Hoffman. I think he'd be a good guy, like a good top six guy on any team that needs a winger.
I think he would be okay. I mean, he's not my favorite player in the league. I mean, he's an all-star guy, but I don't think he's all-star material. I'm just going to be honest. I don't think he looks like one. I think he just looks more like a guy that, he could put up, 40, 50 points a year guy if he's playing on the right team. Like, if he was on, like, let's say, I don't want to say Edmonton, but let's say, like, a team like Vancouver. You could put him on a team like the Canucks, and he could play with, the Sidney brothers,
Horvat, or Tannen, whoever.
Yeah, Bertan, McCann, all those guys. I mean, that's just what I think. So, Lex, what do you think about the Ottawa Senators? Do you think they're going to trade any other guys down the road?
Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah, just about. I mean, that's the Ottawa Senators. I mean, like I said, they're not going to do crazy things in the free agent market unless they dump all their money on Steven Stamkos, which I know he won't do, but I would be shocked if the Ottawa Senators trade with the second, third, or first overall pick with Edmonton. Let's say Edmonton wins the first overall. I guarantee you they're going to probably trade for it, maybe give away a few assets. And
I doubt Edmonton would trade that pick if they received it. I think if they get 2, 3, or basically, in my opinion, any pick not one, then I think they potentially could trade. I don't think they'd trade one, though, if they got it.
I think Edmonton's going to trade the pick regardless because they've already had 4 first overall picks in 6 years. So this would be their fifth. If let's say scenario they win the lottery, this would be the first 5th overall pick in 7 years. And that's not fair. There should be at least a new team in the lottery that should at least win it. Winnipeg. I hope Winnipeg wins it. Or
I hope Winnipeg or Toronto wins.
No, fuck Toronto. I think Winnipeg's going to win it. I think that or Vancouver. That's just my opinion. I think I could.
If the Oilers get the first overall pick, they're going to be fucking stupid and draft Austin Matthews.
Oh, yeah. Well, they'll basically get shit on for the rest of their life if they don't.
Well,
They sort of have to. It's kind of like you get first overall, you have to take McDavid. Like, that's kind of what it was. Like, basically not a choice.
they were attempting to take Jack Eichel last year, but they decided that if McDavid didn't go first, then the whole city of Edmonton would riot.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the monologue. But in general, about the Ottawa Senators, I think, whoever the coach is in Ottawa, I just hope, as much as I despise them, I hope they have a good rebuild because let's face it, this team is pretty much going into rebuilding mode. Because they have not been good since like the early 2000s. That was like the legitimate last time I've seen the Sens be good.
Well, like the few years, I think it was like 2012, or the lockout year when they made it to the second, like when they beat the Habs in the first round, and then they played the Pens. I thought they were good that year, like when they still had Spezza and Albertson and Turris was evolving. Like I thought they were decent then, but after that,
Like I said,
I can see them getting the first. Like they could get lucky and get the first overall pick. Like ironically, like we're just talking about Ottawa. Like imagine if they got the first overall pick.
Remember when Craig Anderson was a fucking beast?
yeah, Robin Leonard for a little bit, and then of course he was injury prone and went to Buffalo.
And then Andrew Hammond was a super big deal. You know, the Hamburglar.
What happened to him? He just kind of fell flat.
Fell off the map. Not surprised. That was
Kind of decided to suck a giant dick.
Second giant dick. I see, but
It was just one of those. It was just one of those like he got really hot. You know,
that is true.
at a pretty decent time, and then it became a huge deal, and then he's just gonna be one of those guys that he'll just probably fade away, and we'll never hear from him ever again.
That's true. I mean, who'd that happen to? Jonathan Chichu. He was so good a couple years ago, and then he just fell. And then he just went to Ottawa, and they fell flat. It was just like, what happened?
That just happens. Like I guess I don't know. Like it's kind of hard to explain. Just people can't maybe not live up to the expectations of what they set the standard too high.
Oh yeah, definitely. But that's just unfortunate. But as much as I despise Ottawa, I wish them nothing but the best going forward. So, any last comments before we wrap up the show tonight, guys?
I'm good.
You're good, Lex?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, so I guess that's all we have left to talk about tonight, guys. And until Saturday, which is in 2 nights, I think we pretty much covered everything we needed to talk about for now. I mean, we're going to talk about certain things down the road, I'm sure. I think something will come up, and we'll talk about that. And I'm going to sign off. This is #Boomstick, the head admin of the Buffalo Sabres. And Adam, tell us who you are.
EverydayImByfuglien, admin of Olympic Jets.
And Lex, you are.
I am the messenger, and also let's go Pens, and also they're a bunch of fucking badasses. Get at me.
Flyers, fuck the Flyers and Brooklyn.
Yeah, fuck the Flyers, fuck Barclays Center. If you got a fucking problem with me saying fuck a bunch, then maybe fuck you too.
And fuck Barclays, fuck the Flyer fans, and let's go Buffalo. Oh, and let's go Islanders. I forgot to mention that as well. So, I just hope, man, the Islanders just really exceed to their expectations. I really hope it happens, and we'll go from there. So, this is Boomstick once more, and EverydayImByfuglien and the Messenger, and we all signing off, and have a good night. We'll see you in the next one.